Welcome to Biztech Startup Show, the show where we feature startup companies operating across Asia Pacific region, talking about their solutions and how they make a difference. Now, today we speak to Kumar Ritesh, Chairman and CEO of CYFIRMA. CYFIRMA is an external threat landscape management platform company that delivers comprehensive real-time insights into emerging cyber threats, attacks, and motives. Basically, a company that helps you deal with the bad guys. Now, to give us more insights, welcome to the show, Kumar.
Thank you very much for having me here, Brian. Very excited to be here.
Now, Kumar, please start by giving us an overview of CYFIRMA and its history.
Excellent. It's a great question and very topical. CYFIRMA is a 4.5 years old cybersecurity company, started here in Singapore. What we do predominantly is delivering outside-in threat visibility to our client and customers. See, if you look at traditional cybersecurity controls, the way they go about working is always about finding any kind of anomaly there and, trying to stop those bad actors, trying to stop those bad programs within your environment. Whereas if you look at us, we sit outside of your organization, we look at bad actors, we look at their motives, we look at their tools and techniques, and we come back and we tell you that, well, this is how cyber criminals are preparing themselves to come and attack you. And hence we call ourselves as an external threat landscape management company.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's very, very different. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that later. But let's find out a little bit about you and your background and what you were trying to do when you founded CYFIRMA and what were the problems you were trying to solve?
Great question. So if you look at my background, I come from an intelligence background. So I used to work with British intelligence, almost 10 years working with British intelligence, used to head their cyber warfare capability, saw firsthand how cybersecurity is being looked upon within an intelligence agency, went to work with IBM Research back in Boston for a couple of years, took a very long flight to PwC in Melbourne, used to run cyber consulting for financial institution, resourcing. And then I was given an opportunity to be head of cybersecurity for BHP. So I used to kind of look after, from operational standpoint, as well as from a strategy standpoint, how we were preparing ourselves from, new upcoming sort of capability, which we were building out, and some of the new sort of vectors, which we were rolling out, which was actually, sort of increasing our attack surface. So my role was to make sure BHP was all safe and sound. And that was the place, quite frankly, Brian, where the whole concept of CYFIRMA came along, because we went about investing a lot of capital in buying traditional cybersecurity control from perimeter to network to endpoint to data security controls. But we were not able to find anybody who was really giving us outside-in visibility of how cyber criminals were looking at us, how they were looking at actually breaking into us. Did we look all okay, or did we had any loop and holes which cyber criminals could have potentially used to come and attack us? Hence, I took a decision to leave a very high-paying job and start CYFIRMA. Now, what we do as part of CYFIRMA is very simple. We give you outside-in visibility of how good or bad you look like. And we also tell you who are those cyber criminals who are looking at actually exploiting you, and how are they looking at exploiting you.
Okay, so Kumar, let me break it down and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to use a very simple analogy of a castle. Castle and its different perimeter walls. So I'm basically king of the castle. I've got several layers of security, whether it's a moat, it's perimeter walls, and so forth. I buy all this stuff, arrows, bows, all sorts of things to defend myself, but I'm not really sure who's really out there and what my vulnerabilities are. That's what you do as CYFIRMA, is that correct?
Exactly. And we always keep saying this, Brian, you can continue to build wall after wall, but unless and until you understand your adversaries, unless and until you understand what you are up against, you won't be able to actually prepare yourself properly. You need to understand the strength and the weaknesses of your enemies. What if you are, let's say, building a wall, thinking that, well, you're going to have thieves and you are going to be stopping those thieves. But quite frankly, you have a situation where you've got tsunami coming towards you. And, walls won't be able to stop tsunami. We all know that. And that's why we keep saying that, organizations do have to have visibility of their external threat landscape. It's very, very important.
And also somebody like you will say, well, you've got a wall that only goes down 1 foot. Anybody that wants to penetrate will just dig 3 feet down and get a crew. And that will be really quick.
That's brilliant. Yeah, 100%.
So let me ask you something in terms of trends, because you've been in this space, as you said, you've worked for British intelligence before. You've seen how the whole landscape has evolved over the years. What are some of the biggest trends you've noticed in the cybersecurity space, specifically with regard to mobile security?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And if you look at the way, mobile devices itself is being looked upon by cyber criminals. See, it used to be always a big aspiration of cyber criminals to break into corporates, break into large enterprises, and exfiltrate information for financial gain, reputational damage, you name it. I think in the last 3 years, what we have seen continuously, and especially last couple of years during pandemic, quite a lot of those individuals who used to be part of corporate starting to work from their home, starting to work remotely. So now cyber criminals are looking this as a clear leverage for them, because before they had to break into perimeter security controls and all the security controls of enterprises to get into those individuals. Today, these individuals are actually operating out of their homes. They are predominantly using their mobile devices to do quite a lot of things which they used to do as part of enterprise. So surely for cyber criminals, what we are seeing, mobile devices have become a very, very important attack vector, which they are looking at using, and clear interest towards mobile devices. If you look at it in cybercrime community today, it is personal data, it is corporate data, it is actually very interestingly, it is behavior data as well. They're looking at actually taking out your behavior data, what time you use, what sort of application, what time you're actually accessing your email, what sort of, ecosystem you're running on your mobile devices. So behavior data has become a matter of interest for them. You have social composition. They want to understand what sort of social platform do you use, what sort of, social post you generally make, or what sort of actually articles you are kind of reading on social platforms. So there's a lot of actually emphasis in that, because most of these cyber criminals have started to look at how do they go about actually monetizing this. Traditionally, always they had interest towards your personal data. They always had interest towards your corporate data, and how do they actually use mobile devices to get into those. That has been there traditionally, but the new thing which we are seeing out there, of course, your behavior data, of course, interest towards what sort of apps do you go about using.
And also then, so let me ask you this, Kumar. What do we need to do as individuals to protect ourselves against this threat? Because obviously it starts at the individual level. And then as an organization, what do we do to protect our infrastructure, or to lay in an infrastructure to protect ourselves and our employees?
Yeah, great question again. And if you look at it like, from individual perspective, in fact, visibility plays a very, very important role, Brian. Do you have a clear visibility of the applications which you are running in your mobile devices? Do you clearly understand if those applications are legitimate applications or are they fake applications? Do you clearly understand what sort of access rights you have given to those applications which you have downloaded on your mobile phone? We have seen heaps of cases out there where individuals have gone about downloading a game. The game itself was fictitious in nature. It was a fake game impersonating an actual game. And quite frankly, this game actually used a lot of personal data and exfiltrated those personal data out of mobile devices to give perpetrators, adversaries a clear understanding of how the behavior of this individual goes about in a day-to-day basis. So quite honestly, you need a tool which can give you a visibility. you need to be extra cautious to understand what you are downloading, what you are clicking, especially even if from mobile devices. And we have seen a number of those prominent cases, especially here in Singapore, where, you know, phishing campaigns to your smishing campaigns, all those gamut of things are really, really booming now, because it's not only cyber criminals, Brian, quite frankly. You have scammers now taking this at a forefront. And scamming is a new business on its own. We have seen a very clear sort of influx within youngsters to actually get into this space and kind of go about making their lives running these scam campaigns, because the quantum of money you can make in one scam campaign is way, way better than what you're going to be doing for a couple of years in a corporate world. So yeah, we are seeing gamut of things being an external threat landscape management company. I think from enterprises perspective, our recommendation always has been, how do you go about actually building a layer defense strategy? How do you go about actually getting a clear, comprehensive view of your external threat landscape and marrying that up with your internal cybersecurity strategy? How do you go about actually containerizing your internal environment in the right way, by which even if cyber criminals are able to penetrate into your environment, you're able to actually create enough resistance for them before they get access to your crown jewels. And we have been advocating this for a while now, being a threat landscape management company.
Now, you've got some solutions to help us to protect ourselves and our devices against threats. Could you share some of those solutions that you have?
Yeah, so we have got actually 3 solutions. We have got our enterprise solution. We call it as Decipher. And Decipher is actually a complete comprehensive external threat landscape management platform. And what it does is, in a very simple terms, it gives you an ability to understand how good or bad you look like from outside in. And it also helps you to understand who are those adversaries, why are they interested, what do they want from you, when can they attack, and how are they going to attack. So you get a complete visibility of your threats and your risk. We have a second platform, which is SME grade platform. We call it as Detect. It's actually a digital risk discovery and protection platform where we go about actually helping organizations to help them to understand how good or bad they look like from outside in again. And we have got a third actually, product, which is a consumer product. We call it as Defense. And Defense is a mobile app, which really helps you to understand mobile hygiene, first of all. Number 2, it helps you to drive awareness. Number 3, it helps you to very quickly understand how your mobile ecosystem looks like. Are you using any fake apps? Are you using any apps which are right now focused for cyber criminals? And they are running phishing campaigns. We drive a lot of clarity towards what sort of applications are you really using, and do you have any applications which has got a deeper access into your mobile phone, which can be a little bit invasive in nature. So I would call Defense as a mobile hygiene and awareness tool. And we have been super successful. We just literally launched the Defense platform a couple of weeks back. I'm very happy to announce that we are actually going to hit 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. Now, I want to zoom in on you as a business now. And you've raised about $8 million from the likes of Goldman Sachs, Zodius Partners, and Z3 Partners. How has, and that's in a Series A and a Series A plus, I believe, round. How has that capital been deployed, and what are your key objectives and strategies for 2022?
Great question, Brian. So if you look at it from incubation till now, we have gone about raising actually near about $12 million. Okay. And from I would say from separation of ourselves, we have gone about raising $8 million. And the way we have gone about actually deploying our capital, our first aspiration was to really build a technology platform which can really solve external threat landscape management capability for organization, give them a clear visibility of their threats and the risk. So I would say 25% of the capital has gone behind supporting our engineering aspiration, and we continue to invest behind that. We have gone about actually building, I would say, our markets, and we decided to launch ourselves in Japan first. And that has been a journey on its own. Today, I'm very proud in saying that, well, top 40 companies of Japan, you name anybody, we work with all of them.
Yeah, because Japan, I can understand why you chose Japan. Japan is a country with a very high awareness of the need for cybersecurity and protection, even at a citizen level.
Yeah, true. And on top of it, I think what we also saw was really Japan being ready for embracing new technology, because we were building back in those days a brand new category of solution. It was not at all there. And Japan really responded back very, very positively to a new capability on its own. Hence, we launched ourselves into Japan. Very quickly, we came to Southeast Asia. Today, I can't name some of those customers, but I can very quickly say one of the largest pharmaceutical company we work with. We work with one of the largest hospitality group. We work with transportation companies out here in this part of the world, and we are growing quickly. So we are investing a lot behind our sales, our marketing aspiration as well. And from here, the way I look at it, right now we are bang in the middle of fundraise. You're gonna hear some news in next couple of weeks from us. But really the agenda is we have gone about actually solving Asia story now. We are there in Japan, we are there in Southeast Asia, we are in other parts of Asia. We want to now take our journey and sort of double down on US and EMEA. So you will see we are kind of building the whole ecosystem back in US and EMEA, and we are going to be launching ourselves into those markets as well.
Now, Kumar, I want to now zoom in on you, the entrepreneur. So what was the transition like for you working from large organizations getting paid, as you said earlier in the interview, like BHP paid a lot of money, and then going to start up your own business? What was that like?
Well, it has been an experience on its own, Brian, and no regret. I promise you, no regret. I really wanted to do this, right? Because see, what really happened when I came out of intelligence, I was under assumption that commercial world might be way more advanced than what we used to see from cyber perspective in intelligence agency. And I was a little surprised that we were not able to see a lot of actually exciting stuff in the commercial play. And we were clearly able to see a deficiency out there, because most of the cybersecurity companies were very much focused towards, behind the perimeter. And we didn't saw anybody doing outside of perimeter. And we said to ourselves, hey, this is the right opportunity for us to really go and solve this. Given my experience with intelligence, my experience with working with, IBMs of the world, to PwC, to BHP, we really went about applying all those learnings and really sort of convincing myself that this is the right time. It's not always about being well paid and having a good life. It's also about what are you really solving, and those problem solving is helping you to be better in your day-to-day. And that was my real cake. And clearly, there was a problem being a professional myself. I clearly saw that nobody was driving external visibility. Nobody was driving clear visibility around digital footprint. Nobody was driving clear visibility around your brand. We said to ourselves, we need to solve this. And unless and until we solve this, I think we are going to still continue to work in this clutter sort of ecosystem. And somebody has to take that baton. Well, it was me who decided to actually take that and carry forward that agenda. And I'm very sure if it could have been somebody else and could have seen all the things which I saw, could have taken exactly the same decision, Brian.
Okay, then on the flip side of the equation, if you took the plunge today, with the benefit of hindsight, what would you have done differently?
Great question again. I think if you look at our history a little bit, what we did is we went about investing a lot of our time and our resources and our money behind our engineering. We wanted to build a Frankenstein. And quite frankly, the way we went about building our platform was, okay, we are going to be building this greatest possible platform before we even launch ourselves into the market. So for the first couple of years, we were completely in an incubation mode. We were just building platform, water testing ourselves with some of our partners, some of our potential customers, but we were not out in the market really getting the feedback from some of those actual customers. And if I am given an opportunity again to redo this time around, I'll flip this a little bit. If I have one of those modules ready on my platform, I will go back and water test that with an actual client. We didn't do that. And no regrets. Like today, we work with 50, 60 top companies, global companies. But, I would have done it in a better way if I could have gone taking feedbacks from customer time and again in each of the components as we went about building. We didn't do that. We built the whole platform and we launched ourselves right into the market.
Now, Kumar, it's been a fascinating conversation, also a scary conversation because of some of the things that you brought up that people are just not really aware of. Now, before we leave, any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to leave us with?
Well, cybersecurity is a very, very important topic, and it's a very vocal topic right now, Brian. And, the final couple of lines I want to leave the audience with, if you think cybersecurity is a problem which somebody else is going to solve for us, that's not going to happen. As an individual, as a corporate, as a SME, I think we need to get involved. We need to understand why there is a need for cybersecurity, and more importantly, why there is a need for us to understand adversaries, why we need to understand external threat landscape before you go about actually rolling out your product and solution and building out your cyber posture. Please understand, first of all, what you are up against. Who are your adversaries? What are some of their core strengths? And then you go about planning out your cyber posture.
Now, Kumar, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Now, I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Kumar Ritesh, the chairman and CEO of CYFIRMA, on Biztech Startup Show. This video and podcast will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our other social media platforms. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks again for tuning in.